Okay, hi. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you can see me well. I have my candle and my music, and I'll try to put it back on when it turns off, because in the last video it turned off after 27 minutes and I forgot to turn it back on. I haven't done a video in 2 weeks now, and the reason being is that I was in TZ actually, like the community that I was talking about in the last videos. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. Well, let's see. Before every video I'm really like a little bit nervous because I'm questioning myself. Am I like, is there even something that's like could be of value? And will I even have something to say that matters? And even though I know I'm doing this for my book, like I'm honestly just doing this to get information, I'm also very aware that people are watching this, so yeah, and I'm getting a little bit self-conscious, and I think that's normal. So I guess I will just continue. And I think I read this yesterday that if you start speaking as a child for the first time, you will suck. And then there's like a list of things, like if you start walking for the first time, you will fall, and like all those things. And then after that it said, like until you haven't done something for the 100th time, don't worry about like being super good at it, and that it's just about starting or just doing it anyway. So here I am doing it anyway. I feel like I have a really clear vision on what I want my book to look like, and I'm super excited about it because I feel like it's coming more and more together. I want it to be like a really, I think I said that before, like a really beautiful thing with like, I want to add photos that I took in that time that kind of reflect the things that are important to me, more artsy photos I think, and want to add the art. I don't have any here, that's okay. And maybe some things that help me, like I can see myself here, so I can like check markers. Anyway, I think it's going to be very beautiful, and I'm still a little bit nervous of how I'm going to do the layout, because the only thing I have is like this writing program where you can just like do the writing but not like the layouting in the way that I'm imagining it. So, but I'm sure I will find ways. I think if there's a will, there's a way, so I will figure it out. And I mean, there's still time. Right now I'm just collecting the memories and like collecting everything that I want to put into the book, and the layout will be, I feel like, will be more at the end, towards the end of the process. And people have been asking me when it will come out. I have no idea. I'm really trusting in the process, and I think it's a good practice for me to trust in this process and not force myself to have it all figured out or structured out, because those things don't work for me really, and to just go step by step. Okay, so, and I'm really happy that I got to tell people about it in this last week, because it makes it even more real and makes me feel even more excited when I can share about it. And thank you to everyone who was so supportive of it, and reassured me that they will buy the book when it comes out. Thank you guys, you know who you are. Okay, so this video is about the third lesson that I wrote down and that I want to write about. I don't know if I will call it lessons in the end. I really like, there are some names of the book running through my mind that I think could be really beautiful. Like I'm thinking about like treasures from the dark or lights in the dark or something. Like something that's more poetic. I think that would be very nice. And yeah, so I'll see how it turns out. If there will be lessons in the end or if it will be more like, yeah, just the different chapters. I don't know. So the third one I wrote down is, it's okay that I feel deeply. And this is such a big lesson for me, because I think maybe you can relate, or maybe anyone who's listening can relate. I think I always had this sense or this thought, and maybe in a way I still do sometimes, that I think, okay, one day when I'm healed, when I'm better, when I'm out of this, I will not feel as much again, and it will be much easier. And this is really like this puts like that kind of like what's the word, like postpones the freedom to, like the freedom of, I don't know, living until this future where I will not feel as much and finally be able to live normally. And yeah, I think it was a really, I don't know if I should explain more about how I feel, like how I experience things. I will just say, I think, yeah, this is a big lesson for me to accept that I'm just someone who feels very deeply, and like to adapt to being this way, and that I don't need to be able to cope with things in ways that other people are able to cope, that might be not as sensitive. Yeah, that was a big lesson. I think I discovered not very quickly, but I discovered throughout this journey of depression that I'm highly sensitive. That's like an expression you might have heard before. And that means that it's not like a disease or a diagnosis or something, it's more a personality trait. And it just means that you are more, like as a highly sensitive person, you are more, I don't know, more sensitive to what's going on around you, how you are feeling, like the emotions or tensions that are happening around you or in the people around you. You might be more sensitive to light or noises, sounds, to physical experiences, like what's happening in your body, to like touch, temperature, yeah, like all those, anything that has to do with senses and feeling, and yeah, and so for example, I feel like I'm always using examples from like that just happened now, but I mean those are the things that are going on in my mind at the moment, so it makes sense that I'm connecting them to what I'm saying here. I came back from Taizé now. I was there for 1 week, and I was already, when I was coming back, I was aware that I would need some time to adjust and to digest what has happened in the last week. There were so many people there, new people that I met, old friends that I met, so many things that came up for me, or that I was, like, what do you call it? Like I came with a lot of questions, and there were a lot of things for me to think about my questions and to digest and maybe get some answers. Like there was so much going on, and when I came back, I knew I would need some time to just come back, or to just digest, I think that's a good word, everything. And I used to, and this is how I feel like I see how much I've grown. Like, I just thought about this morning, that I feel like I've grown so much in accepting myself, because I mean, it's Wednesday today and I came back on Sunday late afternoon, and yeah, I feel like I'm still not really, I haven't really arrived here yet. And I used to be really hard on myself, and like when I was gone, like when I had like traveled and then come back and wasn't able to just unpack my stuff and like continue life, I used to be so hard on myself, and now I'm like so good at adjusting my expectations. When I mean, on Monday I was ready to like unpack and do my continue doing my stuff, even though I knew I would need time. But there is this inner drive that I still have from, or maybe what I'm used to from back in the days. And the moment, or as soon as I realized, okay, Hedi, this is not happening, like this is not working to just continue or to just do the things that you have planned, I just took a moment to breathe and asked myself, okay, what do you actually need now? And then just like nurtured myself and took time to rest. I watched a little bit of my comfort TV show because I was missing the people and the place, and ate some food that made me feel comforted, and went for a walk, took my time with washing my clothes, and really stripped down my to-do list. Like I really did not a lot of things of the things that I had planned to do on those days. And I just like accompanied myself. I was very aware, okay, Hedi, you just have to go at the pace that your body actually needs, and not at the pace that your head wants you to go at. And so I've been doing that, and I've noticed that slowly I've been coming back into my rhythm. It takes time. I'm like, for example, I feel like I'm still so like there's so many things that I connected with or that came up, or so there was so much input which is still buzzing in me, and so I feel like I'm not really able to really calm down in the last days. And I've been telling myself, it's okay, you don't need to be like at your most peaceful place at the moment, just take your time to come back to it. So on the first day, for example, I wanted to do yoga in the morning, but I just put my mat on the floor, sat there and like took a few breaths, and I was like, okay, I cannot, like I'm not in the place to do yoga right now. I just can't. My body, it's just like, oh. And so I didn't do it. But I was aware that I did put my mat down. I sat on it. I took a few breaths, and that was enough for that day. That's something I accomplished. And then the next day, I still felt like on Tuesday I still felt like this. So I was like, okay, I'm just going. I think I ended up playing the piano and singing and dancing, like to do something to, I don't know, release or like move through all of this, which helped me a lot. And I thought, okay, maybe it wasn't yoga, but it was something that helped me to connect with myself. And then today I still felt like, oh. Which I think is connected to some other things too. I know it's not part of this lesson, but I will talk about this more later on, that I'm in my ovulation time at the moment. Like in my cycle, I'm in my ovulation, so I feel way more like energetic and like more alive, like I'm in my inner summer. If you would call the different like times in your cycle, compare them to different seasons of nature, I would call this summer. And also there's a full moon coming up, and I really feel usually really feel the full moon. Like I feel really like just very like that there's a lot of energy in me and a lot of stuff going on. So I think that also correlates with this time at the moment. But I'm sure it also has to do with everything that just was in my life last week. And I will talk more about how I've learned how connected we are to nature in other lessons with how we feel. But this is just something that's influencing me at the moment as well, I notice. And so this morning I danced again. I like put on Latino music or salsa, and I just like danced and it felt really good, and I was so happy because it made me feel really connected to my body. And usually that's my intention. Like when I do yoga, in the beginning I think about, okay, what's my intention this morning? And usually it's connecting to my body and feeling into my body, and this dancing this morning did the same for me. So I thought, okay, then this is my what do you call it, like it's not yoga, but it's something very similar to it that gives me the same thing that I need now, like the connecting to my body. Sorry. Okay, and I think I was saying this now because if I think about, like, for example, last year, whenever I was gone traveling, especially last year, there were a lot of weddings in my family. Whenever I came back from a wedding, I would completely crash and just like either I would get sick or I would watch a show, like Netflix show, for like a week straight, because I was so overstimulated, or there was just so much going on. And I think like that was because I really wasn't aware of the impact that travel and being in new environments and other people have on me. I was kind of aware, but like still working on getting aware of it, I think. And I would feel really bad about this and really ashamed that I couldn't just like jump back into the life or my life here, which seemed so easy for example, my mom. I live with my mom, and other people, and I felt so ashamed of this, which made it even worse, I think, which made the time of adjusting back into my life even longer, because I was like feeling ashamed and resisting this reality that I just need a little bit more recharge time after big events or travel. And I think by the fact that I've accepted this much more now really makes it more easy to adjust back into my life, because I was able to do small things that gave me a sense of, okay, I've got my life back together, I'm at peace. Like just little things that I sprinkled into my day since Monday, which really built momentum for coming back here. I wrote down a list of things that I want to accomplish, which gives me kind of like a guidance and makes me feel like I'm accomplishing things when I can tick them off the list to just keep the focus, because I'm aware I might not be as focused as I usually am. So I've really come to terms much more being like this, and just created more space after events like this to just come back into my flow or daily life here. And I think this lesson applies to so many other areas of my life, especially relationships. I used to feel, I don't even know if I was that connected to my this reality of how much or how deeply I feel before the depression started. And I wonder if this has to do with the fact that I had just learned to really well, I had learned to like really keep this part as like to be very, very unaware of how deeply I feel from when I was a child, like growing up, because it just was more safe like this. I think I want to talk about this childhood part a little bit more here, because it came up in one conversation that I had last week, that I had with someone, and it was really cool to put that into words. I think I will talk about it here now a little bit more as well. So the thing is I don't want to, because I mean this is about my story and not someone else, and I don't want to bring anyone else's story in here without their consent, you know. So I don't know how to do it. And at the same time, I think my experience is so universal, and a lot of people have experienced it. So okay, I think I will find the right words. So I think I've talked about before that I mean I grew up in a big family. We were 4 children, and there just wasn't a lot of space for expressing emotions, especially uncomfortable emotions like anger or frustration or grief or sadness, or I think no, honestly, I'm just going to be open and honest, because it's I think it's important to be like that. So, and I think it's also because I'm kind of wanting to call out the parents that are it's so uncomfortable to talk about this, because it's really, this is like the big topic of my life. I think that was like the main topic going through the years of depression, like in therapy. That was something that I talked about the most. Also when I was in the clinic, like that was a huge topic. And whenever I don't know, okay, I'm just going to say it, and I might not upload the video and figure out how to do it later. So okay, I think there has to be a little bit of context, because every family constellation is heavily influenced by the ancestral line, like what has happened in the lives of the people that came before those people. And so I just want to give a little bit of a context. So I grew up in Germany, and there was the Second World War in 1938 until 1945. 1939 until 1945. And of course, everyone in Germany, probably a lot of, like, honestly, everyone who lived in Europe at that time was impacted by this. And some more, some a little bit less. and some super intensely. And yeah. So yeah, that's I think something that is something that lies heavy on so many generations and has been passed, like the experiences from war, like in all their facets, have been passed down to the children of those people and the children of those people. Like, it's still very, in my experience, still very much present in our world. Mostly, I think, because there just hasn't been the space, the time, or the resources to unravel everything and like really heal. Yes, like, but I want to say, like, to really have all those really difficult experiences be held and not appreciate, but sorry, sorry, what's the word? I don't know the word. Honored. I'm sure later it will come to my mind. Anyway, because I mean, after the war, the one focus was to just figure out a way to meet all the basic needs to survive. Like, this was the number one goal, to survive, which makes a lot of sense. So, and like, Germany was kind of falling apart. Sorry. Now I will restart it again. Actually, this belongs to another lesson, which is about how our ancestry is so connected to us. So I don't know how deeply I will go into this. Anyway, so my grandparents on my mom's side, they experienced being like, they had to move out of the city for a few months because there was the danger, like, the houses were bombed by actually, I don't know by which country. France? I don't know. So they moved out of the city for a while, both my grandparents, and then came back to their homes being completely destroyed, the city being destroyed, and yeah, to just a lot of, I think it was very sure it was super disorienting and confusing. Yeah, that was on my mom's side. And on my dad's side, actually, I don't know so much about my grandpa, like my dad's dad. They lived in the north of Germany. I think there was not so much bombing because there weren't huge cities, or at least he didn't live in a big city. So I don't know how impacted he personally was. But my grandma, like my dad's mother, they used to live in close to Königsberg, which now is, I think, a part of like White Russia, Preußen, I don't know, Prussia, I think is the word. And when she was 5 years old, they had a farm life there, and when she was 5 years old, the Russians were invading that part of the country. It was Germany at that time, and so they had to leave their home and move west towards Germany to be safe from the Russians. They were like destroying, they were really, really harsh. Like, the stories I heard and read and watched were really heavy. So yeah, they ended up just like having their horses and carriages, like having everything they could pack, putting that on there, and then moving to, it was in the winter actually, so it was super cold. I think, I don't know how many weeks they were on their way. I think my grandma told me once, at least 4 weeks, I think, just like in the cold of winter. And it was super cold winter there, like there was so much snow and it was like minus so many degrees. and they managed to arrive in the north of Germany, or actually I think they went somewhere else first, and at the end ended up in North Germany, where she continued to grow up and build a life of her own. She met my grandpa, they got married, and they had a farm. And then they had 3 sons, which are my dad and his brothers, 2 brothers. And it was all about like staying alive and working at this farm to make a living or to make food so that you can survive. So there was a lot of hard labor involved in that, I think, and very little space to just relax or talk about whatever comes up, I imagine, and that's my experience from when I was visiting there. So this is the story where my parents come from, and so I think I just said that because I want to kind of give a context for how the vibe was in my childhood home growing up. So my dad, he was, of course, coming from a farm where you work and you do a lot of work with your hands, and there's not a lot of time for leisure or just like things that are not necessary for survival, I think. So that was how he was living when I was growing up. Like, it was a lot about work, and my parents actually built a house, and my dad took 4 weeks off from work to work here in the house, to help build it. And so even after the house was built, he continued to just build little things and fix things around the house, or and my mom, she I mean, her side of the family they weren't farmers, so, and they come from a place like it's close to France, but on the German side, and there I feel like the culture there is very much about hospitality and like community, and so she how to explain it, I would say my mom was available for us, and at the same time she was very focused on community and making things happen and work for the community life, kind of. And so there was not so much focus on the individual, how they were doing, like in a sense, yes, like taking care of the needs, like so that everyone has clothes and everything that they need, like practically, but like the emotional stuff was kind of it was hard, and like there was space of it, but not like a huge amount of space, because I mean there was so much other stuff going on, and my dad, he wasn't very involved in our, I don't know, emotional life or experiences, also because he was working a lot. Like growing up he was working a 9-to-5 job, I would say, and then busy doing things around the house. And we went on vacation, or we did things as a family, like it's nice that my parents offered that or made it possible for us to do that, but I wouldn't say that it was like super cozy. Like it was my home life was very loud, a lot of noise, a lot of laughter, of course, as well, but also just like action and going. And then I don't know, on the weekends, like on Saturday, everything would get done. Like my mom would go grocery shopping, sometimes we would help, or like there needed to be cleaning done in the house, and then food needed to be on the table, of course, and And then on Sundays we would go to church, and after church stay there, like to talk with people, come home, like make a really nice. My dad really liked to cook on Sundays. He learned how to be a chef, so he would cook, and we would have people over from church or other friends that would stay all afternoon to eat with us and talk, and then the day was already over and the week started again when school was there, and school life and friend life and just like being busy. So thinking back, I don't feel like my childhood was very calm. It was very like just always going. And so there was not a lot of space for all those very tender things, or like things that really need like softness to unravel and to be shown. And I think I talked about the background of my parents just to give an idea of how they were influenced. Like if their parents had experienced trauma from war, they were in survival mode, so they couldn't give my parents a lot of space for all those tender soft things, except for if they had already went through their trauma and healed their own trauma, in my opinion, or from what I have experienced. Like you can only have inner peace when you, or in my experience, I feel like I have, like when you're in survival mode, you can't really slow down or give yourself space to rest or to just enjoy, because you're like always in survival mode. Like there's no relaxing in trying to survive, which makes a lot of sense. And I think because they had experienced this war, my grandparents, both sides, there was still this felt sense of I'm not safe and I need to continue pushing through in order to be safe. And all those very soft, tender parts of me, they don't have a space here, because how could they in such a hostile, unsafe environment where you can't trust, or you don't know if you're going to get bombed the next night, or if the Russians are going to just tear down my home and everything around me, all infrastructure and all the systems, everything has fallen apart. Like there's no space for softness. Like first I need to build, help to build all of this up again so that we can be safe. I feel like that was the mode my grandparents' generation was in, which I'm so thankful for, because I mean they really built back up this country, or like just the structures, the houses, the culture, just like everything that we take for granted today had like completely vanished, or from what I know about history, or from stories and reading and watching documentaries. So we can be really thankful for that. And at the same time, there was really no space for healing like those really, really deep wounds that had been brought upon them from like so many traumatic things they experienced. Okay, and so that's how my parents were influenced. And as much as they grew up in a country where it was already back to kind of a sense of normality, I would say, like there were not many spaces, I imagine, back then that offered this softness to open or to come out. And so yeah, they continued living this as my grandparents did, I would say, and just did their best raising us, their children, in the way that they thought, okay, this is what life is like, or this is what's normal or not. And they didn't know their softer sides, because how could they have gotten to know them if their parents, when they were children, didn't help them discover them? So they couldn't really help us with those things either. And we're, in a way, still in survival mode like the parents were. I would say not as much, maybe. but still it had imprinted on them, and of course then it imprinted on us. And I feel like I was like coming back to full circle to what I was beginning with. I like growing up and most of my life I was in survival mode as well, because that was all I knew. That was what the two people that I had been my attachment of safety, they had been living in survival mode. So of course that was all I knew. That was what was my normal, what I thought, okay, this is what life is like. So of course I also had learned to stuff down all those traumatic experiences or things that were really tender, or feelings that were too difficult or too unsafe to face, because there was just no space for them. And so I think I really wasn't aware of how sensitive I was until end of 2017. And I might have seen glimpses of it, but the like vastness of it I really didn't know. And I think that's why it shocked me so much when I realized, okay, things really impact me, relationships impact me, things people say, things that I hear, like things that come into my awareness, like, I was really shocked because I didn't know, and honestly I had no tools and no experience with being a person who is so sensitive and so emotional. So it took me a while to figure out how to live with it. It still does, but I found so many tools on the way to cope and to be able to hold myself with this new sense of life, what it's like to be alive. Okay. And is there anything else I want to say about it? Okay, too, that I feel deeply. Yeah, I think this lesson is so powerful because, I mean, hearing this, it's okay to feel deeply. Like, just this sentence in itself is like permission to just like, oh, okay, I don't have to run anymore. I don't have to try to survive, because it's okay to feel this deeply, and I don't have to push it away. I don't have to run from it. It's just okay that I am this way. And of course it takes courage, and it takes patience to figure out how to handle this. And at this is how it starts, like allowing myself to be this way and not trying to change or push through anything that's difficult on me. And I actually want to show you I have to stop this for one moment. I made this screensaver a while ago. You can see it. Oh, sorry, it's not very clean. I will put it in the book as well. Oh, can you see it? It says, I don't know if it's like mirrored or not. I don't know. It says, "My heart is allowed to feel," and I drew this a while ago when I was really heartbroken, and I was kind of hard on myself, thinking, oh, just get over it, just why are you still heartbroken about this? Why can't you just manage and just move along? It's like a practice again and again to allow yourself to feel like, or at least for me, to feel like this. And then I made this and I put it as my screensaver on my phone to just remind myself that it's okay that I feel so deeply, and it's actually a very beautiful thing. It can be such a gift to, because it gives you it gives me so much information, like so much information about like the complexity of experiences. It's great, like it's so cool actually, and it's really powerful to be able to like dissect, like from an emotional point of view, to dissect, I don't know, experiences, relationships, to dissect, to be able to dissect it by recognizing all the feelings that I have towards it. It's such an intelligence, and also that of course gives me the ability to recognize this in others and see the beauty in the complexity of their emotional state. So it's actually a huge gift. It's just that I have to learn to allow myself to live this and find ways to hold it. Like there's so many things that I'm thinking about that help me with this, but I think I already talked about them in the beginning, in the first video before the first lesson. And I think the fact that it doesn't help really that we live in a world where feeling deeply is not very on display in like our daily lives. Like, I don't know, I think about like when I go to the grocery store, I don't see a lot of people like laughing from deep from their heart, or crying, or feeling disoriented. Like those experiences aren't very much displayed in public. And then also additionally to that, there's not much of like an expressiveness or public displays or public talks about it. Additionally to that, our whole system, I feel like, or like is set up around, or is set up for people who might not be feeling as deeply or are experiencing life as deeply. Because I went to the store yesterday and there were like so many sensory inputs coming towards me. There was like the smell, it smelled like really not so nice, and like really the air was really thick inside, and there were so many products, so many colors, and so many noises from all the people there. And what else? I think there was also music playing, I don't remember. But like so much that I think for someone who is not as sensitive or who doesn't feel as much, it's like fine. I think it used to be fine for me too. But now it's like, it's really a lot to take in. And I wonder what our world would look like if there was more awareness of, okay, we as humans, we are sensitive to, I mean, it's on a scale, like I would say some people are more sensitive, some people less, but we all are aware of our environment, and we feel what's happening in our environment to some extent, and it influences us. So what if the stores were like much more calm, if there was, I don't know, maybe calming music or not, if they made sure to have like a lot of plants, to have clean air, like all those things. I feel like in where I live, it's already going in that direction. I see the little signs, which makes me very happy. Like the restaurants by the store like have more plants and a more calmer environment than they used to have. So it is changing. It just takes a little bit of time. Or for example, I was working at an organic store from 2021 until summer 2022, and there were like my co-workers, like the people that I was working with, some of them had just like really heavy things happening in their life, like, and I had like heard about those things from, I don't know, I just had a little bit of information about them, and we never really or with some I did, but with like a few of them I never talked about it. And of course it's not like there's like this one way we live in this world, like everyone lives differently and we all contribute to what our culture's like, but I felt like there's just no space, and it's just not normal to talk about anything that goes deeper than daily life stuff. Which made me, like, looking back now, I think it's so sad that we didn't make space for this, because it's our emotional experiences, what we're going through in life, they deserve to have space. And I think that's what, like last week in Taizé, I went to one workshop that was like, it was a special week where there were a few workshops, or every day there were workshops happening about different important topics in the world, like environment, politics, sustainability, climate change, but also like emotional stuff. So I went to one workshop about grief, and the woman there talked about the fact that it's just, grief is something we don't talk about in our daily life or at work, or and it's such a profound, big experience that just happens, and we need to be able to talk about this, to like, we need to give stuff like this space. So it just, like, there's not a lot of, I feel like when I leave my house, I'm in a place, if I can say it like that, I'm in a world where all this depth, or this vastness of feelings is not really displayed or expressed, and it takes a lot of courage then to speak about it, or to share about it, or to show it, or to not feel ashamed when I cry in public, or when I need to like breathe deeply in public and people see it, because it's not something that's common. So I think that also adds to the fact that it's hard to allow ourselves, or myself, talking about myself, not everyone, because everyone's different, but that's what makes it hard for me to be open about it and accept it in myself. I think when we give each other permission to be fully human, we really invite a new way of living in community together as well. So I'm happy that I learned the fact, like this lesson, that it's okay that I feel deeply, because I feel like by allowing myself to live like this, I'm also, and by speaking about it and sharing it and expressing it, I'm also giving other people the permission to be human and to feel deeply as well. And the crazy fact is we all feel to some extent, and it's such a beautiful layer of life that holds so much wisdom and so much truth, honestly, like so much truth and so much clarity, that it's so worth it to give it the space that it deserves. And I'm really, really glad and really thankful that I'm someone who that I'm living in a time, and that I'm in a space, or was in a space when this depression started, where I was able to unravel all of this. Like I will talk about this more as well in another lesson, but really I feel like by having the space and the support and the resources, having had all of that to give space to all of this emotional stuff, all of those feelings that wanted to come up, I'm healing something for my ancestors as well, like for all the people that came before me that just didn't have that in their life and were really struggling with surviving and other things. And I feel like me by my English, the fact that I'm able to do that and have the support that I need to do it, I'm really doing something that's not only for myself but also for the people that came before me. So I'm really, really thankful that I live in a time where this was possible and that I could learn all of those things, not only for me but for them as well. So yeah, thanks so much for listening, in case you stayed until the end. I feel like there was some really good stuff in there that I will use in the book, and it's really helpful for me also to just express those things and to speak about it. It helps me to kind of, I mean, I know all those things, I have them in my head, but yeah, it just helps me to when I put words to it, and to put it in a more, I don't know, structured way. I don't know. Okay, now it's been almost an hour. I will see you next week. If you want to watch, or whenever you're watching this, I will be here next week. And yeah, I hope maybe this helped you to maybe recognize some of those things in yourself as well, and maybe it gave you a little bit of more of another permission. Maybe you have other people also giving you permission in your life, but I hope this was one more person giving you permission that it's okay to feel, deeply, and it's a very, very beautiful, very rich thing that holds so much wisdom and truth and intelligence, and just can really help us to find out who we are and what we're walking towards and what we need. So it's a really cool thing to feel deeply. Thanks, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. All the best to you.